Hey guys, welcome back. Today I wanted this to just be honest and like just real. Um Today I'm gonna be sharing my story. A little backstory if you don't know me, my name is Ella. I am 15 years old and yeah. And before I begin this, I like to say that I'm just not perfect at all. I would definitely say that following the Lord is not easy at all, but it's so much easier if you just acknowledge His ways and try to apply them and realize that this isn't religion and this is just faith. You do everything out of love instead of being forced to do everything. And yeah. So, my testimony. So, back in the day, this was definitely before COVID because this was before I was like 10, but um every other weekend I would spend the night at my grandparents' house. And usually I would go on a Saturday, spend the night, Sunday. But I would spend the night and I would have the option to go to church with my grandma. And I was like, most of the time I think I went. I can't remember exactly because this was years ago, but pretty sure half the time I would go. And when I would go, I would put on my dress. Me and my grandma would probably go to like Sonic or something just like to get something to eat, I guess, and then we would go. And when I would go, I just don't think I was genuinely there for like the whole idea of like this is church, like the whole purpose kind of why we're there. And I feel like I would just go for like just family and food and just like I don't think I had any sort of like purpose or motivation when I would go, but that's kind of my like story just growing up like church wise because I feel like a lot of people they talk about this like whatever, but like you would grow up going to church and then you would have to like find your faith and everything, but like I just feel like I was just never in that intention because I just like because I wouldn't like when I would go to like the little kids class or whatever, like I just because when back in that day, my older cousin, she would like help in like the like daycare part of it, and like most of the time there wasn't really like that much teaching, and it was kind of more just like a genuine like daycare kind of setting. And I went to a class one time and I remember we were just coloring a picture of Noah on the ark, or it was like Moses in the wilderness, or it was something like that, and I was like, what is happening? But yeah, fast forward. So growing up, my grandma on my dad's side, my dad's parents have already been divorced for quite a while, I guess, if you want to say that. And it was around 2020, and my grandparents on my mom's side got divorced. No, it was in like 2019, but around that time. And I remember my mom told me, I was like, huh, okay. Like, because at first I don't really think I understood what this meant, and I was like, okay. So probably ever since then, I stopped going to church because I didn't really see my grandma that much anymore in that time period. But yeah, so I was growing up. I was probably in like 4th or 5th grade. Can't remember exactly, but I remember in like 5th grade, one night I went to my kitchen, and I remember going to my kitchen because it was like 10 p.m. I was getting a snack out of the cabinet because I don't know what else 10-year-olds do. So I was going to get food, and I remember, because of the way that my house was laid out, it was the kitchen, and then my parents' room is like right behind the kitchen. So you could like kind of sort of hear, but like, you know, some sort of like privacy. But I just remember like you could hear my mom, I think it was my mom, crying. And I remember at first I was just like, oh, okay, like, you know, who knows what could have happened. But I remember just telling myself, I'm like, okay, just don't think much of it, like, it's fine. Yeah. So I went back into my room, and I just remember, like, chilling, it was fine, and yeah. And then it was the next day, and I'm trying to think. The way that my house is set up too is that between me and my brother's room, his room is like this side, my room's this side, and between it, it's like our slash guest bathroom. And then it was just like this hallway. And I remember like anything that my mom could tell my brother, I could hear it too because our rooms are so close together. So I remember she told my brother, she was like, oh, okay, like we're having a family meeting. I was like, I remember my first initial reaction. I was like, okay, this is weird because we never have these like at all. And yeah, so that happened. And I remember sitting on the couch with my dad. I don't remember. But basically, my parents were like, saying that they were gonna take a break. And I was like, crap. Like, this sucks. I remember crying a lot that day. Because I thought it was like a divorce, but it was a break at this time. And I remember I was in 5th grade, and just all these things were happening. And yeah, a few months after this, my parents actually did get a divorce, and I just remember this time period in my life was just so like, it was just so confusing. I remember because I was in 5th grade, I was about to go into middle school, all the stuff in my family's happening. I was like trying to find purpose and identity essentially because I was going into middle school, and I was just like, where do I stand? And I just remember in middle school, I just tried to find my identity in so many things. It was terrible. I just remember the first semester of 6th grade. I remember this so vividly because it was just awful, but I just remember I was trying to fill my mind up of the world so much. My friends, what music I was listening to, what I was watching, what, I don't know, boys. It could go on. Like, I was so of this world, and it was so, no. But I remember it was 7th grade, and like, you know, I already had about probably 5, 4, I can't remember, but it was like 4 or 5 relationships with guys. And I was like, you are 13 years old. It was bad, but I just remember I dated this one guy, and this guy wasn't bad. Like, generally speaking, he's not bad. But I just remember in 7th grade, it was like 2nd semester, I just remember one night I stayed up till 3 something in the morning because I remember I fell into this humongous trap of lust. I just remember I said something, and like, it's like alcohol. Once you drink it, you're probably gonna get addicted to it. It was kind of just like that. And it was so unfulfilling. And this happened for months. Then my parents found out. And I remember I cried so much the day that they found out. And after that, I was still dating the same guy. And then I remember I signed up for now the church I go to, but a camp they hold every year. I remember years prior, my brother would always invite me, and he was like, "Oh, do you have friends like to invite, like blah blah?" I always declined it because, you know, I thought I didn't really need it. But I just remember this one year I went because months prior I bought a Bible out of nowhere spontaneously. I just bought one because I had $20 left for my Christmas money. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna buy a Bible, like I'm gonna read this, like I don't know, I kind of just bought it. Like I don't really remember what essentially like influenced me or something to do so, but I did. I bought it, I read it, I started in the Gospels, like it was great. And I was going to this camp, and I remember I went, and it was great. It was so great, but I just remember the day after this, the guy, he broke up with me, and I remember I was like, I felt free in my heart in a way, because it got to a point where it was kind of like toxic-ish, like it just wasn't fulfilling, because I remember one night I prayed and I was like, you know, if you don't want this for me, like, you can just remove it, like, and he did. It was great. And, well, as in great, I meant, like, he answers. And then I remember he went away, and I just embraced singleness. I started focusing on God so much more and all these things, but I just remember one night, or one, what am I trying to say? Okay, and then in September, I went to, wait, rewind, hold on. Okay, I kind of got the story out of order, but in July, I went to church. I used to go alone. I went to the same place that my brother went because it just seemed familiar, and I went, and I remember I knew no one, and I would sit with the people around my age, but you know, I didn't really talk to them and everything, but things have changed. But I just remember during this time period it was so like sad. And I remember also during this time period I was friends with just high school seniors half the time because, you know, I was just trying to find friends and everything, and yeah. And I just remember during this time period, like around when I started reading and everything, like I read the word, I just don't remember exactly like if I genuinely like was doing what it said. Like I feel like I would sometimes, and then sometimes I would just completely ignore it. Like I don't really know. I feel like I was lukewarm, but it was more towards like hotter than colder. Like I don't really know. I felt like I was like still living in the world somehow, but like included the Lord in it. Like instead of him being your life, he was like a part of my life. That's how I kind of viewed it at the time. But I remember, fast forward after that, we're in September, and I decided to sign up for my church's fall retreat. So I did. I packed my stuff, I went, and I feel like this retreat, I made just so many friends. But I just remember what stood out to me the most about all of this was in one of the nights of worship, and the theme of this was, like, the theme verse was Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 6, and we were talking, we were in worship, and I just remember, like, I was just standing there, worship, and then I remember this girl beside me, she just started bawling her eyes out, and I don't know, I just remember I started bawling my eyes out with her. The song was slow, but that's a good thing. It's not like I'm saying it's bad, but the song, I just remember, like, the song was slower than, like, some other songs, and I just remember, like, her bawling her eyes out, and I just remember, like, this is what I was made for. Because I remember in this time period, I was super stressed and everything, and I was just like, this is what I'm made for. And I remember I started bawling my eyes out with this girl. And I just remember this theme and, like, that and one night and just everything. We were just talking about not putting your identity in other things because it's never going to fulfill. It's like putting your house on the sand instead of putting it on the rock and all these things. And I just remember just that one retreat, I feel like it just changed my perspective so much. And just fast forward October, I got baptized on October 26th. It's been a few months since then, but and the reason why I talk about this, well, the reason why I just share my story is just because I feel like during this whole time period where I was trying to adapt to so much change, I was trying to fill my heart with everything other than him. When my whole family was breaking apart and everything, and adapting to middle school and all these things, I tried to fill the brokenness that was going on in my family with other things. My heart was so hurt. I tried to find love everywhere else, and those things weren't love because they were lust. And I feel like in our culture, we confuse love and lust so much. We think lust is just the sexual whatever stuff, but lust is not only that, but it's also just taking rather than giving. Lust is not just about whatever, it's about being selfish. It's about just like all these things. Lust is just taking and making it fill your heart for a certain amount of time, and then it goes away. And that's not what love is, because God is love. And when your heart is filled with this love, it never goes away. It's there. Once it's been put there, it's never going to go away, and there's nothing like it. And yes, I used to be stuck in this humongous big fat thing of lust, and the enemy will try to distract you with it. He will, because he's awful. But if you've been trying to seek the world, trying to find something to fill your heart after your heart's just been so broken and all these things and whatever, I don't know your situation. To the viewer watching this, I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what he has in store for you. I don't know, honestly, any of that. I don't, because I don't really know inside of you. But God knows what's inside of you. He knows your plans. He knows the plans he has for you. He knows that you're going to do great things. He knows. But it all just takes denying yourself. It all just takes to fully accept that Jesus genuinely died for you. And, no matter how heavy life tries to throw at you, how heavy life gets, whatever it may be, he will help you. He wants to help you. And I don't really know initially what this might like work within someone, but yeah. Thanks for watching.